Suddenly, in 1955, an unwelcome incident made women groups return focus to the issue of polygamy.
The trigger for this was the second marriage of the Prime Minister of that time, Muhammad Ali Bogra. And the way Apwa is structured, the wives of important people were part of Apwa. So the other Apwa ladies took exception to it and objected.
Starting off with a social boycott. All of the people who met and had dinner together, etc., refused to meet him. The women refused to go to receptions. So they just had a social boycott, which was sufficient to make the government uncomfortable, I presume. But Shah Nawaz also had women in the streets. We had the largest demonstration at that time of women gathering outside the assembly, which was, of course, in Lahore at the time. So the Lahore Assembly was the National Assembly. And it was the one thing that united women from all kinds of classes. They did not want men to have more than one wife.
These women recommended the creation of a commission. A commission was formed in 1955, and that commission gave certain recommendations.
Now that was a time when any religion-based law was not codified, and this one too was not codified. So it was customary law that was practiced. So there was a need for codification.
The Rashid Commission had more men than women, but there were 3 women who participated in that. And the commission produced an absolutely wonderful report, which unfortunately was not entirely accepted in terms of the laws that we have today.
The commission faced countrywide opposition from religious quarters, and its report was shelved due to Maulana Ehtashamul Haq Thanvi's dissenting note.
I don't think there was any un-Islamicness to it. You had religious ulama who were sitting on the commission. You had Rashid himself was, of course, a Supreme Court justice. So with the full knowledge of Islam, jurisprudence, etc., they repeat in their commission, in their report again and again, that there is nothing un-Islamic about this. In fact, they have one point say that it is the duty of Muslims to look at their laws and to change them in accordance with what the circumstances is. They feel that it's a responsibility.
A 1958 bloodless coup brought in Field Marshal Ayub Khan. A westernized leader averse to religious conservatism, he had a progressive stance on the status of women.
Ayub Khan, as far as women were concerned, he was a typical sort of Sandhurst type general, and very sort of liberal and British, etc. So in that, the support for women and the opening up of spaces and whatever, it was he who passed the Family Laws Ordinance.
The family laws are not what women desired, but they still were a very, very important step forward. First of all, for codifying. Secondly, within it were deterrents for polygamy.
The law never banned polygamy. What it did was that it required a procedure to be fulfilled before a man contracted a second marriage.
A man needed to take permission from the Union Council, who would determine whether there was any reason for him to remarry, and then get a permission to do that. Then there were many other rights of a woman were recognized, and Nikah-Nama itself became the contract on which a woman's rights could be safeguarded.
Though a small victory for women, the ordinance has since been a serious bone of contention between religious parties who believe that the law tampers with men's basic rights and women's groups.
The first session, the Maulvi started protesting all over again, saying this is un-Islamic, we will not have it. And it is the women, by and large, if you look at the debates, it is the women who stood up to what they thought was a misuse of Islam at that point. And I think we have continued with the misuse of Islam. Islam is often forwarded for anything that you don't want to do in terms of equality, in terms of democracy, etc.
This law has been controversial since the very beginning. It was enforced in 1961. All through the years, the social policy of the state has never given this law the kind of backing and support that it deserved, so that its implementation was stronger, and that there would have been more beneficial results coming out of this.
No sooner had military dictator Ayub Khan won the trust of women activists that the '65 presidential election brought him an unpleasant surprise: a female opponent.
It was an extremely uplifting sort of feeling. I was still in college, I think I was just in college then, and one felt very good that a woman could actually stand for the election of a president. It never occurred to anyone that that is a possibility. But somehow, because we are a certain male-dominated society, and it's taken 60 years for us to now think of this as a possibility. So that way, it was a very, brilliant sort of move and inspiring.
General Ayub quickly rallied a group of supportive ulamas to issue public fatwas against women becoming head of state.
The fatwas were given opposing her on the behest of the president. And the president himself said that, a woman does not have a place under Islam to head a country.
In a surprise move, Maulana Maududi reversed his well-documented stance on working women and supported Fatma Jinnah's candidature.
If you look at the period of quick political changes, you found that Islam was being used and religious groups were also being used to create the numbers to counter the other. The way that campaign was run and the way power force was used to deny her a victory, really, she should have won.
It is widely believed that the elections were rigged in favor of Ayub Khan.
अब दहर में वे यारो मददगार नहीं हम पहले की तरह वे कसोला